both welcome. This is the first time we're having a conversation, the three of us. I've had several conversations with Elle in different parts of the world, and I've had conversations with Obiora, but this is the first time we're engaging in a tripartite conversation. In previous conversations that we've had, it was fairly formal because it was a one-on-one thing. But what we're going to do this morning will be a bit less formal in that sense. The other thing, I did alert you both that I will not be showing any images, any slides and so forth, because I want for us to really talk. And one way to begin, for those of us who know your history, and many of us who don't, especially your encounter with the University of Nigeria and Nsukka, I thought that the best way to begin is to talk about your first years, the reason that you ended up at the University of Nigeria and Nsukka, and for decades after that. So if I may, I will ask you, Obiora, and then after that, Elle, to tell us the circumstances that led to your coming to the University of Nigeria and Nsukka. I'm well aware that you were a student here, but how did your early years as a student lead to becoming a lecturer in this university?
Thank you very much. I want to say that I was admitted to Zaria in 1965-66. So I spent my first year in Zaria. In May of 1966, we had the first pogroms in northern Nigeria. So we were there and witnessed it. The pogroms, of course, continued into October, but some of us had already made up our mind that enough was enough. So luckily for us, and I want to say this again for those who are not here on Wednesday, that thanks to Ogbuefi Nnamdi, Azikiwe, the well of Onitsha, we had a university to run to. Otherwise, we would have been stranded for 3 good years. So we spent a year here, 1966-67, and then the war started. At the end of the war, some of my colleagues who were students in architecture, engineering, and so on, decided to return to Zaria. I, as a person, had decided in 1970 I wasn't returning to Zaria. So I stayed on in Nsukka. When I graduated in 1972, I was asked to return as the junior fellow. I accepted, but postponed it so that I could go back to Onitsha, where I was born. My parents come from Agulu, but I was born in Onitsha. And I spent from 1946, when I was born, to 1967, when the war broke out in Onitsha. So Onitsha has a special meaning for me. So I went back to Onitsha and sorted out our estate, and then returned to Nsukka in 73 as a junior fellow. And of course, when the war ended, Udechukwu was in Germany. He had taken an exhibition of Biafran art to Germany. He was then an independent artist, so a couple of us went to the Dean of Arts then, Professor Moadilem Achufisi, and impressed on him the importance of bringing Udechukwu to Nsukka. So because Udechukwu came here and revamped the curriculum, there was no need for me to go anywhere. So I stayed on here from 73 until 1997, when I left for the US for a year, but then 1 year turned to 2, and so on and so forth. So that's the story.
Thank you. El, you had trained in Ghana and ended up in the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, in 1975. How did that happen?
Well, naturally I applied to an advertisement which was brought to me by one of Ghana's foremost artists at the time, Vincent Kofi, who came here as an external examiner. You know, in I think 1973 or so. And I put in an application. But I must say that before then, I had applied to my alma mater, the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, who also had an advertisement for positions that I thought I could, apply for. And they sent a reply saying, no, you have to do 5 years outside before you qualify to be employed by us. And so I put in this application, and it wasn't like I got a reply immediately. It was a year after that I was going somewhere and I had a slip from the post office. And in those days, when you have a slip, it's like somebody has sent you money. So I said, who could have sent me money? I went to the post office and redeemed the mail, opened it, and it said, you are given an appointment at the University of Nigeria, and so on and so forth. So I decided to pay a visit to the place first before accepting. And when I came, the story of which I related earlier on at the opening, I saw a very arid place which didn't look like a university. Those were just a couple of years after the war, and so the scars of the war were very much around. And Princess Alexandra, where we had most of the events, had bullet holes and other things on it. But when I went to the department and met the likes of Okeke, Obiora, Udechukwu, and some others, I saw that the place might look run down and decrepit, but then the human resources there were so rich and so fertile. That was very, very fertile ground in which to grow. So I decided, damn everything, this is the place to stay and go and grow. So that was how I came to the university in 1975.